When I met Silas, I was running a world music concert every month. We had different artists, and it's quite funny. Silas kind of turned up towards the end of one gig with his guitar and said, "Yeah, I'm a guitarist. I want to play." I said, "Oh man, sorry, this isn't a jam session. This is a concert." And and we started chatting. We exchanged numbers, and then we started meeting and playing together. And the following month, Silas was doing the opening set, performing some songs, and then the month after that, he was doing the headline set, and we got a band together, and we were playing Samba Reggae, which is sort of Brazilian
Samba
reggae.
reggae. Samba
Samba
reggae.
Reggae, yeah.
Because some people might understand some reggae, not some reggae.
Exactly. So
Samba
yeah,
reggae.
so in Brazil, reggae is pronounced reggae, hap is or rap
We
is
will say
hap.
reggae if you go,
Reggae.
yeah, a Brazilian pronunciation.
Nice. So, and Silas has got a really nice style. Silas is from the north of Brazil in Bahia. Bahia is a very culturally mixed area with all kinds of music and a huge important part in the story of Brazilian music, and a lot of the very well-known composers are from that region. So, Silas, why don't you tell us a bit about Bahia?
Yeah, Bahia is the state of Brazil that has the largest coast and is located, to be more specific, in the northeastern region of the country. And Salvador, which is the capital of the state of Bahia, was the first capital of Brazil, so it's a very historic place, and is one of the places that received the largest amount of African people from outside of Africa. So it's usually associated when it comes to Brazil as the place that represents the strongest connection between Brazil and Africa in general. So we are all into African culture and African rhythms. All of our identity and music is related to that.
Cool, amazing. So, could you play us a traditional song from Bahia?
Yes, of course.
You know thousands of these.
Yeah, I usually say that probably there are even more songs in Portuguese that refer to Bahia than even referring to Brazil, because Bahia is a very musical name, and you can combine Bahia with many words that are quite uh, often seen in Portuguese speaking like fantasy, fantasia, alegria, which is joy, and all these things. So there are lots of songs, and I know a lot. I know some of them, and I love it. Like I would love to share them with you too. This one, it's like homesick of Bahia, something like that. Ai, que saudade eu tenho da Bahia. Ah, se eu escutasse o que mamãe dizia. Bem, não vai deixar a sua mãe aflita. A gente faz o que o coração dita. Mas esse mundo é feito de maldade e ilusão. Ah, se eu escutasse hoje eu não sofria. Ah, essa saudade dentro do meu peito. Mas se ter saudade é ter algum defeito, eu pelo menos mereço o direito de ter alguém com quem eu possa me confessar. Ponha-se no meu lugar e veja como sofre um homem infeliz que teve que desabafar, dizendo a todo mundo o que ninguém diz. Veja que situação e veja como sofre um pobre coração, pobre de quem acredita na glória e no dinheiro para ser feliz. Ai, que saudade eu tenho da Bahia. maldade, ilusão. Ah, se eu escutasse hoje eu não sofria. Ah, essa saudade dentro do meu peito. Mas se ter saudade é ter algum defeito, eu pelo menos mereço o direito de ter alguém com quem eu possa me confessar. Ponha-se no meu lugar e veja como sofre um infeliz que teve que desabafar, dizendo a todo mundo que ninguém diz. Veja que situação e veja como sofre o pobre coração. Pobre de quem acredita na glória e no dinheiro para ser feliz.
Yes, bravo. I was just thinking something then. If Brazil was a cold country, how do you think that would have affected the music that was created there?
Well, I think we can have an interesting um, reference that will help us to answer this question, because there is a part of Brazil that is pretty cold, not as cold as Europe, but it might get very close to many parts of Europe, which is the south of Brazil. The south of Brazil, you can find very, I mean, not easily might be too much, but at winter time, it's quite possible to find places with less than 0 degrees. So you can really have this reference of this cold Brazil that is pretty different from my Brazilian part, for instance. Very different. It's much more European. The I mean, the population, you can find uh, a stronger presence of European descent people.
What about musically there? How does it
Music,
differ?
well, yeah, the music is quite, it's quite interesting too, because especially in the south of Brazil, you can find a cultural and musical identity that sometimes looks more, it seems to be closer to Argentina or Uruguay or Paraguay than the northeast of Brazil where I came from. In Uruguay, Paraguay, Argentina, it also has a very interesting blend of influences, such as the Spanish influence, and the language and rhythms and all that stuff, and also the rhythms that used to play by the original population from this region, the Indians, as some people call. And let me see and also some African influence too, although it's not as obvious, as is not as easy to find as it is if you go to the coast of Brazil in the southeast or northeast, just like Bahia or Pernambuco or Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo. But it's a very interesting uh, identity and music identity. They have very specific and interesting rhythms, and they have their own repertoire as well. That is quite it's very nice. I'm not that familiar with it, but it's very rich too. It is something that is really worth to check.
Cool. So you've got quite a you've got a very rhythmical right hand technique when you play the guitar. Um, it's also always very obvious, usually when you're doing an introduction to a song before you've gone into the melody, you're kind of sort of chopping away and playing these rhythms. Does that come from other Brazilian percussion instruments that you're kind of transposing into the guitar, or what is that?
Absolutely. That's all influence of the rhythms and the drums and the way that the drumming and the percussion seems to be present everywhere in the place where I was born. Everybody's beating everywhere. They are always singing, always playing rhythms and clapping, and lots of different rhythmic cells are combined in creating very unusual sometimes combinations.
Yeah,
So every musician has from Bahia, or almost every musician has a very strong influence of the percussion, especially those just like myself that has this kind of passion and, how can I say, affection for this identity, for this culture, for these people. So we
nice.
are all about drums. The drums are everywhere. I usually say that when I play the guitar, I'm always playing with some imaginary percussionists. Always trying to.
Nice. Yeah, show us an example of that, of how you fit that right hand and then how you
Yes,
kind of continue that into a song.
but the thing that one of the things that I do is not very, is not that common, is to use the thumb pick, which gives me, I cut, the last time we met here, I did the same. I cut the thumb pick, try to give that shape of a pick in the side, and it gives me some extra weight on my thumb. So I have this. I think every guitarist has a little bit of this reference, as the guitar has so many rhythmic possibilities. So the thing that I do is not something very, is not a mental elaboration, but it has to do with the daily relationship with the percussion. And in my personal experiences, it's also because I have uh, a brother that is almost as old as me, that is a percussionist. So we always have the interaction that we always had in our lives, made me a musician that is even more focused on the right hand. But the things that I've just played, the song that I've just played is a bossa nova pattern, and I do I do the cell that is also associated with the instrument called the tambourine in samba, that has ta 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 ta. So I try to use that with these three fingers, combining them, trying to sometimes play them more closely together, sometimes just trying to flow from one finger to the other, trying to create this, sometimes like that, sometimes more, and the thumb that goes thinking about the lower drum. Mm, 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 mm. So I do. So this is bossa nova. This is the bossa nova way of thinking of playing. You can find it in João Gilberto, which is one of the fathers of bossa nova sound, but also almost every bossa nova musician. The other thing that is a very important reference for me is samba reggae. Samba reggae is usually associated to big groups of drummers playing very loud, one environment where it's not possible or is not common to have this kind of soft approach that I usually have with the guitar. They usually play so loud that this kind of sound that I do couldn't be perceived in general. If you see the samba reggae groups, just like the classical ones like Olodum, like Ileaye, or even some very popular icons from the music of Bahia, such as Ivete Sangalo or Daniela Mercury or Margareth Menezes, just to mention some of them. They usually do it in a very loud environment.
Well, while we've got the this benefit of this tranquil Zoom connection, maybe we could hear one of your samba reggae compositions.
Okay, sure. So basically what I try to do is a mix of samba reggae, which is the loud, very loud kind of groove, and the intimate atmosphere that the guitar gives. So I usually say that there's a fusion of bossa nova and samba reggae. I use the same principle that bossa nova applied to samba reggae. So bossa nova is a way of trying to turn samba into a small structure, and I try to do it the same. How do I do it? I do it using I'll play the song and then we talk more about it later, okay? This one is about one imaginary bridge between two beaches, a beach from Rio and a beach from Bahia. It's about 2,000 kilometers of a bridge. Imaginary bridge, something like that. Copacabana, praia do Buracão, fim de semana, Iemã, onda da tribo, da batucada, do samba, do reggae, do samba canção. Copacabana, praia do Buracão, fim de semana, Iemã, bate essa onda que anda da ponte que parte do meu coração. A onda anda, a onda anda, onda anda, onda anda, onda. A onda aponta a ponte, a ponte aponta a onda. A onda anda, a onda anda, a onda anda, a onda. A onda anda longe, a ponte aponta pro horizonte. A onda anda, a ponte aponta, a onda anda longe. É já Rio de Janeiro, Iemanjá e vermelho beira-mar. É já Rio de Janeiro, Iemanjá e vermelho beira-mar. Copacabana, praia do Buracão. Copacabana, praia do Buracão. Copacabana, praia do Buracão, fim de semana, Iemã, onda da tribo, da batucada, do samba, do reggae, do samba canção. Copacabana, praia do Buracão, fim de semana, Iemã, bate essa onda que anda da ponte que parte do meu coração. A onda anda, a onda, a onda anda, a onda anda, a onda anda, a onda. A onda aponta a ponte, a ponte aponta a onda. A onda anda, a onda anda, a onda anda, a onda. A onda anda longe, a ponte aponta pro horizonte. A onda anda, a ponte aponta, a onda anda longe. É já Rio de Janeiro, Iemanjá e o vermelho beira-mar, gilberteando, tanto baiano bacana, já Rio de Janeiro, Iemanjá e o vermelho beira-mar, Dorivalendo e o nascimento, nuvem cigana, ondulando no carinho de Paulinho de Joana, ondulando no carinho de Paulinho de Joana. A onda anda, a onda anda, a onda anda, a onda Ejá, Rio de Janeiro, Iemanjá, Rio Vermelho. A onda, da onda, da onda, da onda, 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 a onda, da onda.
Nice, very nice. It's great how there's quite a lot of different. Obviously, it's just 6 strings, so there's quite a lot of tones in there when you've got the high frequencies just kind of in the top strings bouncing off what you're doing in the rhythm, and then the voice floats on top of there.
This
Very
clav
nice.
here, we call, some people call it clave or rhythmics or whatever. Something that you can find in bossa nova, but also a lot in samba reggae. They play this very often with drums with a very high tuning. Many like countless. Countless, is it correct to say like that? Countless? Like
Countless, yeah.
Yeah, a very large number of people can play this at the same time. And they have these other drums that gives the lower, they give the idea of a step. Mm, 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 which is basically what I try to emulate with my fusion of samba reggae, bossa nova. I also have this, which is this another element that's quite present in my right hand, which is this moment where I play the same string with these two fingers, creating this little bit, create this kind of tension and this extra
Nice.
drumming feel in the string playing.
Who was the biggest influence on your guitar playing? And maybe we could hear one of their tunes.
Oh yeah, there are a few. I think I started to play this instrument with the very important influence of Geraldo Azevedo. He's not a guy that I probably have never mentioned this name for you before. Geraldo Azevedo is from the northeast of Brazil, and he's from the state of Pernambuco, and he's got a great voice. He's got amazing songs, and he's a great guitarist as well. And he has a very strong influence of João Gilberto too. He's from a younger generation if compared to João Gilberto. João Gilberto, I think, was born in the 30s. Geraldo Azevedo is probably from the 40s, late 40s. And João Azevedo is one of the first guys that give me the feeling of, singing songs in Portuguese and using some rhythmic elements, but also with a very interesting harmonic vocabulary. So João Azevedo is a big name, but one of the most obvious, I think, influences in my guitar playing is Gilberto Gil, because Gilberto Gil was born in Bahia. Gilberto Gil is also a musician that has always been very connected with the what we call as Universo Percussivo Baiano, is a percussive universe from Bahia. Let's try to translate like that. So he the way he plays, especially this kind of element that I've just mentioned, there's a very iconic introduction of a song from him that is called Expresso dos Dois. That has a little bit that has this kind of, it's probably the first time I started to explore this thing. só circular o expresso 2222, que parte direto de bom sucesso pra depois. This is a song that was recorded for the first time in 72. And it's the kind of sound that he recorded mainly with him and his guitar, and you could feel that the rhythm and the groove and the rhythmic ideas are all printed in his guitar playing. So Gilberto Gil is probably one of the most obvious references for me, but there are others. One of the guys that really blew my mind the first time I got in touch with his music and his guitar playing is a guy named Roberto Mendes. Roberto Mendes, he took to a high level this technique of using it.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like you got a lot of influences there. You're gonna have to pick one and show us the tune, I think.
Yeah, let's show the influence of, or the reference of Roberto Mendes, for instance, in a song of mine called Samba Tequete. Samba Tequete is a song that I wrote inspired by a very specific kind of samba that cannot be very easily found outside of Bahia, outside of the region of Bahia called Recôncavo, Baiano, because Bahia is also a very large state and very diverse state as well. So Recôncavo is the area where Salvador is located, and some other important cities are located too. And I wrote a song trying to give this, and also using this clave here. This is a little bit different from the ones that we were using, which is the other drums. There are drums that they're using this kind of sound. And the lower. Or you can double it. I wrote a song that has a little bit of this. Also say that it's a mantra because it has a little bit of this Zen inspiration. That is not something very easy to be found in the music of Bahia. It's not very, I mean, even when it's spiritual, it has a lot of earth force on it. It has a lot of, So let's show a little bit of this song. O carnaval e o som, o sonho carnaval, do carnaval pro mundo, daqui pro mundo real. Keep this groove in your mind, please, okay? O carnaval e o som, o sonho carnaval, do carnaval pro mundo, daqui pro mundo real. O carnaval e o som, o sonho carnaval, do carnaval pro mundo, daqui pro mundo real. Mapa mundi, mente global, palavra. O pé na fonte, olho na rede, verdade, tesão, toque, logo, cooperação, trama, grana, cor, coração, tecate, tecate, refrão, tecate, 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 refrão, mapaque, tecate, pá, mapaque, tecate, padrão, o carnaval e o som e o carnaval, do carnaval pro mundo, daqui pro mundo real. O carnaval e o som e o carnaval, do carnaval pro mundo, daqui pro mundo real. Mapa mundimente global, palavra, tem que ter o pé da fonte, tem que ter olho na rede, tem que ter verdade, tem que ter tesão, tem que ter toque, tem que ter logo, tem que ter cooperação, tem que ter drama, grana, tem que ter cor, tem que ter coração, tem que ter calor humano, tem que ter o sonho de todos, de toda condição. Tem que ter, tem que ter, tem que ter, tem que ter refrão, tem que ter, tem que ter, tem que ter, tem que ter refrão, mas pra que tem que ter pá, mas pra que tem que ter padrão, mas pra que tem que ter padrão, mas pra que tem que ter padrão, mas pra que tem que ter padrão.
Bravo. Thanks, man. Cool. Amazing. Thanks, Silas. So, a lot of Silas's songs are on YouTube with full bands, and so you can actually hear the whole kind of samba reggae arrangements, and there's some great videos as well. Silas, where's the best place people can keep in touch with you?
Instagram or Facebook, I think.
Cool, and that's Silas Giron, isn't it?
Also, you can also find me on TikTok, but it's not something I've been using very often. But I have plans of developing it.
Great.
More soon.
Cool. All right, lovely. Well, thank you very much, Silas.